Yep. Lawrence, think maybe the biggest story in the NFL this year in terms of actually impacting the Super Bowl and its outcome is, can the Chiefs get back to being a super explosive offense that they were? Even post Tyreek Hill in 2022, they were explosive, but they haven't been the past 2 years, even though they made the Super Bowl each of those years despite that. And a big part of them getting back to being explosive will be their receivers stepping up. And the two most prominent ones, Xavier Worthy, Rashee Rice, who do you think ends up scoring the most fantasy points?
I'm going to go with Rashee Rice. Mainly because for Xavier Worthy, his role in that offense, the last time we saw it was in the Super Bowl. We saw him catching those garbage touchdowns, 60 yards down the field. But with Rashee Rice, we saw those first 3 games last year before he got hurt, and we was like, damn, that's Patrick Mahomes' new guy. Like he was playing there in the slot. He was wide receiver 2 in fantasy points per game those first 3 weeks. 8 receptions, 96 yards on almost 10 targets a game in those first 3 games. They were scheming to get Rashee Rice the ball. You saw it instantly week 1 when they played. He was killing the Ravens.
33% target share right there. He runs a lot of the same routes as Travis Kelce, which sort of opens up the middle of the field. I think it's close, to be, perfectly honest with you.
You've got to be a lawyer to really know the answer to this one, right? Because if you told me that I'd rather have 13 games of Rashee Rice than 17 of Worthy, if it's 12, that's when it starts getting a bit dicier.
Well, right, and that's why I have Worthy ranked higher. I have Worthy ranked higher as I have him wide receiver 19. I have Rice at wide receiver 22 because we feel better about getting more games out of Worthy this year than Rice because of the off-the-field issues. But if you're asking me on a points-per-game basis, which wide receiver would I rather have, I think obviously they're very close. But give me Rashee Rice. I agree with Lawrence. I just think he does more. I think he's got a more expanded route tree. I think he will. I think that he will, because of Kelce being there and it's the middle of the field and the different ways they use him, I think he will see more favorable coverage than Xavier Worthy, who's likely going to be out wide and, probably getting whoever the other team's best corner is. I will say this. Last year, the Chiefs did manufacture touches for Worthy, which I don't know if they're going to do for Rice. So, again, I think it's close, but yes, on a per-game basis, it can be Rice, but because of the suspension, I have Worthy ranked higher by a little bit.
Yeah, bit of a forgotten man, Matthew. Chris Olave, who has all the talent in the world, has always been dealing with these concussion issues, but he's healthy at the moment. He has quarterback uncertainty. Nick Underhill, who does great work covering the Saints, he's reported that Spencer Rattler is clearly outplaying Tyler Shuck in training camp. So uncertainty there.
What about Jake Haener? No Jake Haener?
Jake
Haener gets the job.
He modeling. He the model, ain't he? That's him.
They might be.
That's big trouble. What do you think the scope is for Chris Olave to be a top 20 wide receiver?
I think it's certainly right there. I think it's a health question. I mean, because Olave's had inconsistent quarterback play recently for sure. But during his healthy games in his career, and obviously that's a big if, but this is a guy that had basically a 26% target share. He was wide receiver 23 in points per game over his first 2 years in the NFL. And so he is somebody that earns targets at a high rate. I don't think they're going to be particularly good this year. And I will say that Kellen Moore, their new head coach, comes there, and we've seen under Kellen Moore, especially when you think about his days in Dallas, him produce high production. Kellen Moore's not stupid. Kellen Moore's going to look around at the Saints and be like, "What do I got to work with here? I got questionable quarterback play." It's like, all right, I got Alvin Kamara and I got Chris Olave. Those are my 2 best chances of being somewhat competitive here. So I think both guys end up touching the ball a lot. I do think Kamara is kind of an interesting sleeper. Once again, we slept on them all last year. We're like, oh, they're going to be bad quarterback, and yet Kamara was a PPR merchant. And so whether it's Spencer Rattler or Tyler Shuck or whoever, ultimately, I think they'll be good enough to get the ball to Olave if he can stay healthy. Again, think about the conversations people were having about Brock Bowers or Malik Neighbors last year. Yes, they're super talented, but who's their quarterback? It's going to be a disaster. It doesn't matter. Those guys earn targets at a high level. Those guys both produced massive fantasy points last year.
If I had to choose which quarterback that I would want for the success of Chris Olave, it would easily be Spencer Rattler for me. Been in the building already. He didn't get he was a rookie himself, but he didn't play with Alvin Kamara. He didn't play with Chris Olave. He didn't play with starting offensive linemen. And if he outplaying Tyler Shuck easily, then that's the guy. Well, I got Chris Olave at wide receiver 32 right now, but I definitely think he could be a top.
Hey, it's Matthew Berry from NBCSports.com and RotorWorld.com, and I want to thank you so much for watching whatever it is you just watched, or if nothing else, being too lazy to click out of the autoplay after this video started, after whatever it is you actually wanted to watch finished. But now that you're here, I'd like to take a moment here to ask you respectfully now, okay? I'm asking you respectfully to subscribe to the NFL on NBC YouTube channel. You'll get the latest Roto-World fantasy news headlines, all sorts of great shows, including my own Fantasy Football Happy Hour. So go subscribe now. Again, I'm asking respectfully.